And welcome. It is Friday, April 16th, 2021. And in the beautiful Georgia area, north of Atlanta. Beautiful day. It is temperatures, I think upper 60s, no humidity. Don't see any pollen in the air, but there probably is. And I've got a beautiful log cabin behind me that represents just peace that passes all understanding. I know that when I grew up as a kid, grew up in Indiana, and we would go camping and oftentimes stay in tents. And then sometimes, in fact, at our high school, my brother, when he went there, they actually built a log cabin for one of their classes. Can't remember the name of the class, but so there's a lot of I don't know, I love to be outdoors, and so it just reminds me of being outdoors. Love to be outdoors in nature and outdoors enjoying peace and hearing birds and seeing sunshine and so forth. In fact, when I was a kid, I remember watching some shows. Hello to Tina Kirkpatrick on Facebook land. Again, it's nice being on Facebook and also being on YouTube at the same time. But when I was a kid, I remember watching the show called Daniel Boone. And this kind of reminds me of Daniel Boone. Daniel, it was neat because he did what was right. And the whole show's premise was there's typically bad guys, and there were people that were out to try to kill him or do wrong or cheat him and so forth. And Daniel Boone would do what was right. So I loved watching that show. And another show called Bonanza that I used to love to watch. And it was because the Cartwrights did what was right. Pa was the guy that helped to guide his three sons. Remember Adam, that wore black all the time. And then there was Hoss, that was a huge guy. And then there was little Joe that all the girls liked or loved. So, and they liked Adam too. So anyways, I love the West. In fact, when I travel and I go west to do ministry, I love to see the mountains. I love to stop at lakes and valleys and rivers and streams and creeks, and love to go to Yellowstone, love to go to Colorado. Just beautiful area. So anyway, I'm in Georgia, and I'm back at the log cabin today. For those of you that follow the ministry, I think this is probably my third or maybe fourth time I've been to the log cabin. So anyway, I got a notice actually on my email this morning that CNN viewership, which CNN's headquarters is in downtown Atlanta, not far from where I'm at, their viewership is actually down over 50% since Biden took office. Isn't that interesting? And where did I see that? I actually saw that on Fox News. Got a notice on my phone about that. So how interesting is that since Biden took over as president, that the numbers are way down. So hello to Mindy Bush on YouTube. Thank you for following me here on YouTube. And again, it's great to be on YouTube and Facebook simultaneously. I don't know why I didn't think about this earlier, going on both at the same time, because it really helps to save Tina, and 2 hours of her time when she used to convert my lives from Facebook over to YouTube, so it makes it more efficient. And then those that watch on YouTube can watch it live. And if I'm going to watch a video, it's more fun to watch it live, because then you can make comments, and the guy or girl that is speaking can actually read them and actually respond. So you can ask questions and so forth. So live, it's funny because my dad, he used to be in radio, he used to be in TV, and I had no aspirations, no desires to do anything in media, no desires to do ministry, no, especially not to do deliverance. My gosh, who would do that? Especially not to do deliverance on, doing it on media. In fact, I had my own TV show. It was across the country called Uplift TV for about a year and a half, and the CEO of that loved it. He's like, my gosh, you're like the calmest deliverance, most normal deliverance dude on the planet. Because most people have the idea that deliverance people are weird, and they yell and scream, and there's theatrics, and demons cause people to vomit and do all these crazy things. I've been doing a lot of personal sessions lately, and nobody has vomited. Nobody, not one. I have done this for since, what, 2015, I believe. Yeah, 2015 is when I started, so it's been about 6 years. And I'm like, Lord, I go, if I have to do deliverance, I go, man, if anybody does any vomiting, I am not doing this anymore. That's disgusting. And so I've not seen it. I've seen yawns. We can deal with yawns and coughs, but no vomiting, because I don't like seeing that. And I'm not going to do this if people start doing that. Now, I understand if I do this in front of 50,000 people, which I've seen dreams and visions of that coming at some point. We know that that's where this is heading, is that there are going to be people in the church that are going to be running to getting delivered. I've seen it just really in the last several months. People are saying, oh my gosh, I want to be delivered. Please help me. And I'm like, yeah, who doesn't? Who doesn't want to be enjoying their life and having peace? It's no fun striving and fighting and arguing with your family members, with your spouse, with your children. It's ridiculous. A servant of the Lord must not strive, but be gentle to all. 2 Timothy 2:23-24. People need to read that. People need to preach it. What that means is that if we are truly a Christian, we're not going to be striving and fighting and arguing. It's ridiculous. You're on the enemy's territory. That's what demons want you to do. People are unfortunately taught wrong in the church that Christians can't have demons. Well, it's rare to find Christians that aren't affected by demons. What do demons do? Demons cause people to strive and fight and argue and be selfish and be sexually evil and perverted and weird, which, I'm doing these sessions with people all the time, and it's very rare to find anyone that's not been affected sexually in an impure way, in an ungodly way, either been shown stuff when they're kids, been touched when they're kids, been violated. And then when that happens, the demonic spirits have legal rights to start to torment the person, causing them to desire to do things that are sexually impure. That's how it works. We get wounded, we get hurt, we get demons, we hear them in our thoughts, and then it causes us to react and treat people badly. And again, the goal of the enemy is to hurt us really, really deeply so that we don't forgive the people. And then the demons have legal rights to keep tormenting us. It explains everything. I was doing a session last night with a lady from Australia. And as I'm talking to her, I always, when I do a session with somebody, I preface it with a quick teaching for like 5 minutes, explaining the correlation between when we get wounded, we get hurt, we'll hear demonic spirits. And she was just like, oh my gosh, that explains everything. That explains everything. Yeah. And by the end of it, commanded the top demonic spirits to go, and it had some legal rights. And she heard what the legal rights were, came out of agreement. We commanded the demonic spirits to go, and she started laughing and having fun and smiling. And she's like, oh my gosh, I feel lighter. I'm like, yes. I go, that's what happens. Those demons wear you down. They wear you out. They cause you to remember all the bad things. They cause you not to forgive. But if you could see the people from God's perspective, you can forgive. So, yes, Daniel Urenda is from Southern California. I first met him back at Ecclesia Global in Anaheim, Orange County. Going out there again on June the 6th. So hopefully I can say hi to you again, Daniel. He's been a very strong, faithful follower of the ministry. So great to see you on here. All right, so the 2021 Breakthrough Tour is continuing to grow. I am booked out for the next 3 months at this point, and I could book it out farther, but I tend not to want to. I let the opportunities kind of come to me, because otherwise I don't want to mess up what the Holy Spirit's doing. So at this point, in 2 weeks from tomorrow, May the 1st, 7 p.m., I'll be at the Atlanta Marriott Perimeter Center up on the north side of Atlanta. Great things happen there. Great things happen. Surprises happen there. People get delivered. People, in fact, they have signs outside the events that can and have come to pass. Some of their promotions that they have. So it's amazing. Very anointed place. In fact, when I went there first of all back on October 3rd. Never been to Atlanta to do a session breakthrough before. Then I came back in January, and The guy at the front desk remembered me. And I'm like, how do you remember me? I was there for like hour and a half, but he remembered me. And I was like, oh my gosh. And he was very favorable towards myself and what we're doing at Restored to Freedom, the ministry. So neat to see that. So again, come on out May the 1st, Saturday night at 7 p.m. Eastern. And then May 22nd, May 23rd, Hot Springs, Arkansas at the Highland Street Revival Church. Been there once before, last year in right after Thanksgiving. May 29th, May 30th, Merkel, Texas, Fountain Gate Merkel Church. This is, I think, my 4th time there. That's west of Dallas. And then June, I guess it's June the 6th. June the 6th, Ecclesia Global in Anaheim, California. That's in Orange County, the OC of Southern California. Not too far from Disneyland. In fact, when I go out there, I stay very, very close to Disneyland, like within, I don't know, half a mile or less of the entrance to the park. June 12th and June 13th, be at a home in Bernie, California. June 25th through 27th in Seattle, Washington at the Point Church, Pastor Mike Zachman. Love that area. Beautiful. I can't wait to go the end of June. Did some hiking last time I was there, did some boating, went out to the islands, the edge of Canada, got to see the mountains that are, I don't know, 100 miles from there. I can't remember the names of those mountains, but they're beautiful. And it's just, oh my gosh, it was just beautiful. Gorgeous seeing sea lions and stuff. All right, then July the 9th and then 10th, Billings, Montana, Everlasting Covenant Congregation, a Messianic congregation. July 24th, Omaha, Nebraska, at the Empowered Family Church. Darlene Reimer and her husband. He's the pastor there. Looking forward to that. And then July the 31st, this is in Fort Atkinson, Iowa, up in northeastern Iowa. In One Accord is the ministry, Monica's ministry. And then August 1st in Decorah, Iowa, at the Christian Life Center. Pastor Doug Bryce. Just talked to him a couple days ago. And again, I'll be scheduling to come to Minneapolis. I'll be coming to Chicago and coming to other places around the United States and maybe going to Canada. I don't know. If I go to Canada, I will not go there in the winter time. I will only go during when it's summertime, when it's warmer. So anyways, have you ever seen such a big water bottle? I drink these a lot now, called Smart Water. It's very good, very tasty. I didn't know there was a difference in water, but there is. I used to drink a lot of Dasani water, and now I'm been drinking these Smart Waters, and they're very good. All right, next. The title for today is, Am I Smarter? Says Cynthia. I think I am. I think I am. Cindy Range. Ha ha ha. Cindy Range is out of Houston, Texas. And I remember I went there when they had the rodeo. The rodeo. Smart water is the best, says Mindy. And yes, I agree. I concur, Mindy, that smart water is the best. And I do believe it makes me smarter. I don't know if you can see that. Does it? Probably shows it backwards in both. It's funny, I've got my phone down here at the bottom that the people on YouTube are on. And then I've got right behind it my iPad that is on Facebook. It's so cool to be on both at the same time. But yeah, Cindy and her husband Jerry, I've stayed with several times at their palatial estate in the Champions. I love that neighborhood, Champions. In fact, I did not know that my name, Nelson, I never liked the name Nelson, because I'm like, I didn't know anybody named Nelson except like Charles Nelson Riley. And he was a weird person that was on Match Game 76 or Match Game 77 and Match Game 78 and Gene Rayburn and stuff. So anyway, I didn't really like my name Nelson. And then when I was finally, I don't know, at Purdue maybe in college, I looked up the name Nelson and it meant son of a champion. And I'm like, ooh, I kind of like that name now. I'm like, I still think it's kind of a dweeb name, Nelson. You know, there was a Nelson on, what was it, that cartoon show, Bart Simpson, The Simpsons, and they would make fun of Nelson and stuff. But the longer, I guess, that I've had the name, it's grown on me, and it is unique. Most people that have that name have it as a last name. There are, I don't know what percentage have it as a first name, but if you look up the names and the meaning of them, in fact, there's an urban dictionary. I don't know if anyone's ever searched names in the urban dictionary, but I am astounded at how close that people actually resemble those names when they describe them. Now, there's some terms that they use that are not good, not appropriate, but behind it, if you read it, it's interesting how accurate that is. So look up and go out to Urban Dictionary and search for people's names and see how close put your name in there and see how close that you resemble that. So, all right. All that being said, the consequences of unforgiveness and the power of forgiveness. We're all taught when we go to church, we're supposed to forgive. That's a given. Yep, we all know that. Yep. And most people would say, oh yeah, I've forgiven. I've forgiven everybody in my past. you know. But what will happen is if you've not truly forgiven the people that have hurt you from your heart, and the enemy knows that you truly haven't, and you still have bitterness or anger, you talk about it a lot and you're really mad, it makes you miserable, you wish that people were dead, you wish that you could punch them or kill them, you've probably not forgiven them. And there's a lot of people in church that have not truly forgiven those who have hurt them. Their dads, their moms when they grew up, stepfathers, stepmothers. And you can imagine, somebody does you really wrong, somebody trashes you, somebody that lies about you and spreads rumors and causes people to turn from you, hate you, you'll probably not like them. But it's one thing to have a healthy distance between you and them, which is healthy, not to strive with them, pull away. If you have a relationship with someone that continues to push your buttons and strive and make your life miserable, the healthiest decision is to pull away from them if you can. I understand that if you have an employer, it can be a challenge. If you have an employer that employs you and pays you money, oftentimes you put up with things so that you can get a paycheck. But you can pray, Lord, take me out of this position, take that person that's my manager out of that position. And I've seen it, I'd say more than half the time, where the Lord does it. And oftentimes it's like within a month. It's a really quick, close, shortness time. Wow. So, but the goal of the enemy is to impact your life, make your life miserable, hurt you, lie about you, injure, wound you. I do sessions with people all the time, every week, 7 to 8 sessions with people. And I have to hear all the bad things that happen to them. That's the question, is what are the worst things that ever happened to you? How'd your dad treat you? How'd your mom treat you? And invariably, normally if you have a mom and a dad, normally you'll have one of the parents that treats you not good. You're very fortunate if you can get both parents to actually treat you with love. But most, you'll have at least one that's more of the Jezebel spirit, which is more controlling, more manipulative, more mean, and they end up marrying an Ahab, which tends to be more likable, more easier to get along with. But still, if both parents are not delivered, which is, you got a 99% chance of that happening, then they're going to manifest on you. They're going to say things to you. They're going to expect things from you. They're going to blame you, make you the scapegoat, treat you like crap. Can I say crap? Yes, I can, because this is my show. And I'm not religious. But it's true. People get treated like junk, like crap, horribly. So that's going to hurt. That's going to wound. And it's going to cause you to oftentimes be angry at them and not truly forgive from your heart. You may say that you have, but if you've not truly forgiven from your heart, then the enemy knows it. He's got you. And he's going to remind you of all the bad things so that you're like, oh, and you remember them. You go to sleep at night, you remember all the bad things they said, and oftentimes in the tone that they said it to you. So the consequences of unforgiveness are enormous. So the goal of Satan is to have people hurt you as much as he can, deeply, so that you'll have anger and bitterness towards them, so that you cannot truly forgive them. Even though you come into the church, again, people in the church are going to lie to you and say, you can't have demons. Oh no. In fact, I remember going through a very large ministry that you would all know, and they're like, well, we can't tell people. that they have demons. I'm like, why? I'm like, Jesus did. A third of his ministry was delivering people from demons. You know, it's rare to find people that aren't affected by these. I'd say most people all are, unless they've truly gone through inner healing and deliverance. You know, I was doing a session yesterday with a lady who had had inner healing before, but she said, you know what? I kind of think they missed a very important part, and that is commanding the demons to go. And I'm like, yeah, they do. They don't do that. They don't want people to think that they have demons. And I'm like, hello? That's what gives us those negative thoughts. Of course they have demons. Of course you're going to hear thoughts from the enemy. You know? So anyway, a lot of times people take them to the point where they're like, well, where was Jesus at? When you were molested? Well, he was there in the corner and he saw what was going on. I'm like, okay, good. Of course, a lot of people are like, well, why didn't he stop it? Why didn't he stop it? Well, if you can get to the point to where you can understand why the people did the bad things to you, then you can more likely forgive them. But once you forgive them, the next step, last step, is commanding the demons to go that attach to those wounds. And you command them to go, you can have a lot more peace, a lot more joy. So, again, the goal of the enemy, Satan, is to hurt you a lot, get you to be angry at your dad, at your mom, at your ex-spouse, at your children, so you cannot truly forgive them in your heart. So if you cannot forgive them, truly forgive them, then the demons are going to have legal rights to torment your thoughts in your mind to cause you to trigger on your current relationships. And then blame them for not doing what the demons are telling you that they should do. And then getting angry at them and blaming. So well, then what will happen is the people that have been hurt the most, have the most demonic spirits speaking to them. They could have, again, the National Science Foundation did a study in 2005 that found that people could have up to 12,000 to, I think it's 60,000 negative thoughts a day. Well, 80% of the thoughts are negative over and over and over again. So if you have that many negative thoughts, oh my gosh, you're not going to have peace. You're going to go off. You get triggered on your spouse. And then the demon's going to tell you that you're right, they're wrong, and you better make them do what you want because you don't trust anybody, because you have a lot of pride that comes into the spirit of Leviathan. So ultimately what happens is, the majority is you have one person in a marriage or relationship that is controlling, that is manipulative, that wants their way all the time and tell you what to do, and they're the ones that have the most demons, and they need deliverance. So what's going to happen is they're going to sabotage their own relationship. They're going to blame the weaker of the two, the one that's got the spirit of Ahab, which they'll have more of a mercy heart. They want to give in, they want to keep the peace. And so the people that have Jezebel will go off on them, trigger, get mad, yell, scream, blame. It's not good. They will not have a healthy relationship. And then the person doesn't see that the problem is them. And then they'll tell everybody that will listen to them, these lies about their spouse and make things up that never happened. They'll speak of a false narrative that if a person listens to it, it sounds really bad. Like, oh my gosh, poor, pitiful you. You're just a little innocent victim. Oh my goodness. And it causes them to turn away from the true victim in that relationship. Again, this resonates with people. This is the truth. You know, and you can go to counselors all day long, but you can't counsel out the demons that have legal rights to stay until the person humbles themselves, admits that they have an issue and problem, and then repents for that, but then also forgives people who have hurt them. So then they can command their demons to be gone. But of course, how many churches do that? I don't know, less than 5% probably. So it's a very sad state of affairs. All right. So the people ultimately will self-sabotage their own relationships. When demons have legal rights to give you negative thoughts, you will not have good fruit of the Spirit to show to the Lord. So again, this National Science Foundation study in 2005 found that people would have up to 12,000 to 60,000 thoughts a day, of which 80% of the thoughts were negative and 95% were the same thoughts they had the day before. Those are demonic thoughts. Demons are going to keep on giving you thoughts. And as long as you don't take the thoughts captive and you start listening and you're like, yeah, it makes you selfish. It makes you have fruit of the flesh. It ruins your relationships. You won't have intimacy when it comes to sex. You'll have automacy. It will be disgusting. It will be mechanical. It will be controlling. It will not be love. There will not be unconditional love. Remember, I'm on Quora, Quora, And I could answer questions on there all day long. There's so many people that want answers to these questions. Oh my gosh. Um, but I had one question that said, can a narcissist truly love their children? And I'm like, no. You know, they'll either treat them horribly and badly, which is the most of the case. But I said, on occasion, they may have a golden child that can do no wrong, but they will still manifest. They don't know how to love until they get rid of their demons, until they forgive people. So, anyway, if you don't forgive truly from your heart, you will have much bad fruit of the flesh. Your life will be bad. It will not be good. And there's a lot of quote-unquote Christians, people that are in the church, who are wounded, who are hurt, who are not delivered, who cannot behave in good, godly ways. Yes, conditional love. And that's why churches are going to finally get to the point, hopefully at some point, and I mean, I already have, there's an increase in demand and people wanting personal sessions, private sessions to get delivered. We have 160 people in 9 countries, and we have people that are doing this full time. You know, I could do a ton a day, and I'd be exhausted. So I'm limiting myself to 7 to 8 a week, and we're seeing phenomenal results with people within an hour. You know, and all I do, and I'll explain this, all I do is take people back through from the time they were born, time they were in the womb, because often if you have a father and mother that's arguing and fighting and striving, and or they don't want you, or they wanted a boy instead of a girl, or there's a lot of parents that they didn't want the child. The child's going to feel unwanted, going to feel rejected very easily right then and there in the womb. They're not even born yet. And then, like this lady yesterday from Australia, she had the umbilical cord wrapped around her neck twice. I said, well, guess what? That will cause the mom to have fear, and then the umbilical cord that comes into you will allow that spirit of fear to attach to you. And right there you are, you're getting born, and there's fear. And she's like, oh my gosh, yes, that's true. That's true. And it explains everything. It does. It explains it. So when you have a scary birth, you're going to have fear come upon you. You will. You simply will. And then you have bad things that happen to you. You grow up and you have a dad that treats you badly, or a mom that's going to wound you. It's going to cause demonic spirits to remind you of all that, give you all these negative thoughts, cause you to have anger and hatred and bitterness for that person. All you'll do is you'll see that person, that image of the person, you'll hear their voice, you'll hear the horrible things that they said to you, and you'll be mad and you'll be angry and you will not like them. And that just gives them legal rights to keep on tormenting you. It can often lead to sickness, disease in your body. You know, Billy Graham once said that 75% of the people in hospitals would not be there if they would just forgive, truly forgive. So let's say that you don't forgive, like most people. They get hurt, they get wounded, they get angry, they get bitter, they have hatred in their hearts. Again, you can treat a person like Jesus Christ and love them, and then they go off on you and treat you horribly. What's it going to do to you? In most cases, it's going to develop hatred and bitterness for that person. And then the demons will remind you of all the bad things they did, so you don't truly forgive them. So what will happen? You will have anger issues. You will have jealousy, selfishness, depression, sickness, sexual impurity, suicidal thoughts, all kinds of lovely demonic things that are not fruit of the Spirit. So that describes a whole bunch of people that are in the church. Unforgiveness will cause you to ruin your own relationships. Ruin them. And of course, all the demons will do is cause that person that ruins it to not take the responsibility, to not own it, and then to blame the true victim that they go off on all the time, that they get super jealous of, that they get very angry. All these things. And it's the truth. So unforgiveness will cause you to ruin your relationships with your spouse, your kids, your family, your job. There's a lot of people that struggle with these demonic spirits, the spirit of Jezebel, that can't keep a job because they're prideful, they're arrogant. You know, they will tell off their boss, they'll treat their boss badly. And then there's bosses that have the spirit of Jezebel. I had a boss, I know of another lady that had a very strong Jezebel spirit for a boss. It was horrible. People would quit. They wouldn't work for this individual. And the Lord told her to stay there for 7 years. and she had a lot of abuse that she took from this person. Well, it's because the Lord was preparing her for her future calling in doing deliverance of people that had these demons. So she had to go through that. So oftentimes there's a price to pay for a very strong anointing later in your life. Are you willing to pay it? You know, in my case, I had to take it and take it and take it and take it, take a lot of abuse, bite my tongue, not tell anybody in the world. No one knew. It was for 6 years. It was hell. It was horrible. But I knew that the Lord told me to do it. I didn't know that eventually that it would lead to a ministry with people all over the world, but he gave me hints here and there, and I had some prophetic words that helped me to understand that that's where this was heading. So anyway, there's a lot of people that they ruin their jobs, and then they blame the people. They'll make things up. You know, you could be married to a person that has had a history of losing their job. And if you talk to them, are they going to tell you all the bad things that they did that caused them to lose their job? No. They will normally blame and make things up about their boss. Now, again, you could have a boss that legitimately treats you horribly. Understand that. But most cases, a person that struggles with demonic spirits is going to manifest, is going to self-sabotage their own jobs, and they're going to end up blaming other people. They love to blame and not take the responsibility. They will not share the truth of what they actually did. So anyway, unforgiveness gives demons legal rights to torment you, period. You will have strife on the job, at home, wherever you're at. Strife, 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 strife. Unforgiveness can even keep you out of heaven. And there's a lot of people that, oh yeah, I forgave, but then their fruit stinks, and it's horrible. It causes them to manifest, treat people badly, have bad fruit. And that can keep you out of heaven. You can go ahead. There's a lot of people that believe Jesus Christ is King and is the Lord of Lords. But if they continue to manifest and treat people horribly, fruit counts. It's about, I mean, that's really what it comes down to, is what is your fruit? You know, you can do a bunch of acts and make yourself look good. Revelation 2:18-23 talks about all the different acts, all the works that they do. Works and makes themselves look good. It's the appearance of looking good. Image is everything with these people. But what it comes down to is their heart. The Lord looks upon the heart, it says. Looks upon their mind. You know, how do they treat their spouse behind closed doors? How do they treat their children? Are they pure? Are they godly? So, forgiveness. What are the benefits of forgiveness? Forgiveness means you are giving the person now to the Lord to deal with. There's a lot of people, you know, a lot of people, and I see this, where a person that has demonic spirits will end up ruining their relationship. Could be because they're super jealous, they're prideful, they're arrogant. They won't own the relationship. They won't own the responsibility of what they did to ruin it or to separate. The person had to separate from them. And they will blame them and blame them and blame them. And then once that happens, the person separates. Now they're really mad because they feel rejected. Well, they caused the rejection. You know, you think about with David and Saul. Saul caused David to have to part. It's those that are the abusers that need to take the responsibility for what they've done, and they won't do that. So they will oftentimes be very angry because the person parted from them and left them. Well, the only reason the person did it was because they were being abused. And they're like, hello, I don't want that. So anyway, what will happen is that person will become angry and bitter and want to take into their own hands trying to blast the person on social media to cause other people to hate them. Is that Jesus? Heck no. That is Satan. So there's a lot of people that would call themselves Christians that don't have any fruit, that self-sabotage all their relationships, and they need to be healed and delivered. They need to be honest. And some of these people will go through and act like they're a victim, poor, pitiful me, and go to whatever, narcissistic support groups. Oh, poor, pitiful me. Please feel sorry for me. I'm such an innocent little thing. And they're not. They're the abuser. They have demons, but they're not willing to be honest with what they did to cause the relationships to break. And it can oftentimes go back to when they were children, when they were growing up. If they were born prematurely, you know, they have anxiety, separation disorders, which is demonic. but they won't speak the truth, or they've had sexual stuff that's been done to them. They won't talk about it. They'll keep it a quiet, keep it a secret. They won't talk about what they've done to hurt and ruin their relationships. So anyway, forgiveness means you're giving that person to the Lord to deal with. Take your hands off, give them to God, let God deal with them now. You remove then all the anger and bitterness from your heart for them. Again, they could be completely wrong. They could have been completely abusive to you and hurt you deeply. But you've got to forgive, which means I'm going to give them to the Lord. Lord, they're yours. You may not give up on them, but you're giving them up to the Lord and say, here you go. You take them now. All right. So you remove all anger, bitterness from your heart for them. Then, guess what? When you forgive a person, they have no control over you anymore. And the demons in them hate that when you're not angry with them anymore. When you're not angry and wanting to take out what they've done to you back on them. You give them to God and you move on with your life. And say, Lord, just pray. I just pray for them. You can even pray to bless them. Some people don't want to do that, but what will happen is those who have demonic spirits who have done you wrong and you forgive them, now there's no more legal rights that the demons have to torment you. You've now given them up to the Lord. So demons and others hate it when you're not angry at them and you ignore their attempts to get a rise out of you. Just ignore them. Give them to God, forgive them. And it frees you then from giving legal rights to demons to torment you. You feel lighter, have more joy and peace when you forgive and command the demons to go. You will then be able to have the fruit of the Spirit evident in your life. You will feel much more healthier. The Lord will then be able to bless you and give you His favor in the eyes of your enemies oftentimes. There's a lot of people that are so angry, so bitter, vindictive. They want to take out all their pain and they want to curse you and all this stuff. Is that the Lord? Heck no. It's not the Lord. That's demonic spirits that they have. So when you forgive, the Lord can then bless you. And oftentimes you'll be promoted. If you have any type of ministry or any type of a job, you oftentimes get rewarded. And then oftentimes your enemies will see it and they'll be like, wait a minute, why are they having all these good things happen to them? They were so evil. And in reality, no. The persons weren't evil, the persons were good. But the demons and the other people that cursed them, that were angry at them, it blinds them. There's a lot of people that are like that. So let me read some verses. Matthew 6:14 through 15 says, for if you forgive men their trespasses, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. Well, that's good, isn't it? Yes. But if you do not forgive men their trespasses, neither will your Father forgive your trespasses. Well, ouch. Well, then I guess we better forgive. Because if we don't, then the Lord won't forgive us. We don't want that. That's a curse that we bring upon ourselves. Again, remember Billy Graham said 75% of the people wouldn't be in the hospital if they would just forgive. That's a lot. So let's forgive. Forgive. No matter what anybody did. Jesus was an example. He forgave when he was dying on the cross. Luke 23:32 through 43 says, there were also two others, criminals, led with him to be put to death. And when they had come to the place called Calvary, there they crucified him, and the criminals, one on the right hand and the other on the left. Then Jesus said, Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they do. He's talking about, the other people that were cursing him, that wanted him to die. So if he said that, we're supposed to say the same thing. Father, forgive them, they don't know what they do. And invariably, in most of those cases, it is true. It is very, very true. And they said that they divided his garments and cast lots, and the people stood looking on. But even the rulers with him sneered, saying, he saved others, let him save himself, if he is the Christ, the chosen of God. The soldiers also mocked him, coming and offering him sour wine, and saying, if you are the king of the Jews, save yourself. And an inscription also was written over him in letters of Greek, Latin, and Hebrew. This is the King of the Jews. Then one of the criminals who were hanged blasphemed him, saying, "If you are the Christ, save yourself and us." But the other, answering, rebuked him, saying, "Do you not even fear God, seeing you are under the same condemnation? And we indeed justly, for we receive the due reward of our deeds. But this man has done nothing wrong." And then he said to Jesus, "Lord, remember me when you come into your kingdom." And Jesus said to him, "Assuredly, I say to you, today you will be with me in paradise." Isn't that beautiful? All right, let's read some other scriptures. Hebrews 12:15 says, "See to it that no one fails to obtain the grace of God, that no root of bitterness springs up and causes trouble, and by it many become defiled." So we got to forgive. If somebody does something wrong to me, someone lies about me, now that's what the goal of the enemy is to try to accuse you of things that are not true, make things up, twist things, because they have hatred in their hearts. And your goal is, first of all, your goal is to not even hear it, not listen to it, delete it. But if you do hear what they say, those that have these evil demonic spirits, you are to forgive it. And what I do normally is just say, okay, listen, these people have been hurt. They are not delivered yet. They got a lot of pride. And so do what Jesus did. Jesus said to forgive. I forgive. Forgive. I forgive. I forgive. No matter what, I forgive. And then I'm freed. I don't have anger. I don't have bitterness. And in a lot of cases, I just pray for them and say, Lord, please help them see the truth that they're blinded from. Let them see. You think about Jesus. Jesus had his haters, those that had demons. So people that have demons are going to hate you if you're doing what God's called you to do. Okay, Acts 8:23. "For I see that you are in the gall of bitterness and in the bond of iniquity," which is sin. Ephesians 4:31-32. "Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and slander be put away from you, along with all malice. Be kind to one another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another as God in Christ forgave you." Ephesians 4:26. "Be angry and do not sin. Do not let the sun go down on your anger." Romans 3:14. "Their mouth is full of curses and bitterness." Hebrews 12:14-15. "Strive for peace with everyone, and for the holiness without which no one will see the Lord. See to it that no one fails to obtain the grace of God, that no root of bitterness springs up and causes trouble, and by it many become defiled." Let's see. Proverbs 14:10. "The heart knows its own bitterness, and no stranger shares its joy." Proverbs 17:25. "A foolish son is a grief to his father, and bitterness to her who bore him." Isn't that interesting? Job 21:25. "Another dies in bitterness of soul, never having tasted of prosperity." Proverbs 10:12. "Hatred stirs up strife, but love covers all offenses." Mark 11:25. "And whenever you stand praying, forgive, if you have anything against anyone, so that your Father also who is in heaven may forgive you your trespasses." So, remember one of my good friends, Christian psychologist, told me that someone had done him wrong, and he was very angry and wanted to take things into his own hands. And he said things did not go well for him. And he learned from that a valuable lesson, saying, I needed to give it to God. And so I highly espouse this position is, if you have been hurt and done wrong, you were in the right, and then the other person was in the wrong, and it was clear what they did, should you take it upon yourself and post a lot of things on Facebook, social media, out of your pain to try to expose them or get back at them? And the answer to that is no, and it's hard to stay silent. And the Lord told me, he said, if someone asks you the truth of what happened to you in a certain relationship, then you are free to share the truth. But he said, do not go on social media. And even though if you are right and they are wrong, do not do that. He said, that is not the proper way of dealing with them. Give them to me. Forgive. Forgive means giving that person to the Lord. And there's so many people that, cross the line. And is it sin to do that? And it probably is, because you're trying to take things into your own hands, trying to expose a person that's hurt you deeply, and understand that. And in some of those cases, the people that do that, they're completely wrong. They're the ones that caused a person to pull away in a lot of those cases. And so therefore, they won't take the responsibility for it. They'll lie and cover things up and make themselves look good and try and get people to feel sorry for them and make them feel like they're the victim when they're not. They are the ones that were actually the abuser. But that's what demons do, is try to make people to feel sorry for them. So anyway, if a person comes and asks you, be honest, and be honest with what you have done. If you've done things, be honest. All right, Ezekiel 3:14, the Spirit lifted me up and took me away, and I went in bitterness in the heat of my spirit, the hand of the Lord being strong upon me. Isaiah 38:17, behold, it was for my welfare that I had great bitterness, but in love you have delivered my life from the pit of destruction, for you have cast all my sins behind your back. Colossians 3:13, bearing with one another, and if one has a complaint against another, forgiving each other, as the Lord has forgiven you, so you also must forgive. And again, I'll say this, forgiveness, let's say that you are in an abusive relationship. I'm speaking from experience. If you are in, and again, the Lord had me stay in a relationship that was abusive for longer than most would have ever said, but I did what the Lord told me to do, and it's turned out to have fruit. It wasn't fun for me to go through it, but ultimately I had learned some things from it. So the Lord may have you in a relationship that is not been enjoyable for a season, and then at some point the Lord may say, okay, time's up. We've given that person time to repent, and they won't do it anymore. So therefore it's time to separate and part. So if it is, then do what you need to do to protect yourself and separate. So just because you have forgiven someone doesn't mean that you want to spend time with them. It's not a healthy thing. And there's a lot of people that do attend church that are like, well, gee, you obviously haven't forgiven them if you don't want to spend time with them or stay with them or be around them. I'm like, seriously? That'd be like saying to Jesus, well, Jesus, you've not forgiven the Pharisees and scribes. You're not spending time with them. Oh my goodness, what's wrong with you? And Jesus is like, hello, they got demons. I'm not going to spend time with them. Why would I do that? All they're going to do is strive and fight and argue. Servant of the Lord must not strive, but be gentle in all their ways, in hopes that the people will see the errors of their ways and repent. So it's wisdom to stay away from people that have demonic spirits, because all they're going to do is try and stir you up, cause you to be exhausted. How many times are you around a person and they want to goad you, they want to provoke you, they want to say things to hurt you, because that's the demons in them. So you can forgive them, but I wouldn't be spending all my time, hours after hours every day with them. Again, it's one thing if you're working, but even then, pray, Lord, take me out of this situation, or take the person out of that situation. You can't be around a person who has demonic spirits and not be affected some way, because they're going to speak out words that are going to try to cause you to be hurt. Of course, it's your job to forgive, but doesn't mean that you stay with them forever. So 1 John 1:9, if we confess our sins, he is faithful and just to forgive us our sins and to cleanse us from all unrighteousness. What else? I think that's it. So it is true. There's power in forgiveness. Again, I didn't know the correlation until I went through what I went through. And then all of a sudden I learned the correlation. There's huge correlations. If we don't forgive, there's a lot of people in the church that are so mad and angry, and they're like, well, they want to tell you and talk on for hours and hours about all the bad things that were done to them, all the injustices. And if you go up to them and say, you know what, you need to forgive, they'd be like, I am never going to forgive. Oh, how dare. Don't you dare tell me about this, blah, 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 blah. It's like, really? You took an offense. What? Oh, I deserve to take an offense. How dare you? And they're like, wow, then I guess we can't help you. And there's a lot of people in the church that have been hurt and hurt deeply. And they want you to feel sorry for them. And in some of those cases, they're made up. A lot of them they're not, but in some of the cases they will embellish so that you will have a lot of sympathy for them. And you may be hearing lies, flat out lies from people. People that struggle with the Jezebel spirit, they'll make things up. They'll try and sell it, that they were just pure as the wind-driven snow and totally innocent and didn't do anything wrong. And they're liars. And God knows the truth. I have seen some of them. It's like, really? If people knew the truth, they'd have no sympathy whatsoever for that person. They'd be mad and angry at them for what they're doing to try to portray. And those demons, that's what their goal is to try to portray that person as a victim. And they were probably a victim when they grew up. That's what caused them to hear the demonic spirits in the first place. But now that they're an adult, they'll conveniently forget things of truth and then modify the truth to make things up, to sell their story, to get people to feel sorry for them. The Lord knows the truth. So, all right. So again, forgive. That's the goal. Forgive anybody for everything that they've done. Anything. Doesn't mean that you hang around them, that they're your best friend. Doesn't mean that you condone that relationship. It doesn't mean that you lie about what the truth is. So, all right. So 2 weeks from tomorrow, I'll be in Atlanta Marriott Perimeter Center, and then heading west, Hot Springs, Arkansas, which is west of Little Rock. May 22nd, 23rd at the Highland Street Revival Church. May 29th, May 30th, Memorial Day weekend in Merkel, Texas, Fountain Gate Merkel Church. June the 6th, Ecclesia Global in Anaheim, California. June 12th and 13th in Bernie, California. June 25th and 27th in Seattle, Washington. And what else? July 9th and 10th. No, June 25th to 27th, Seattle, Washington, The Point Church. July 9th and 10th, Billings, Montana, Everlasting Covenant Congregation. July 24th, Omaha, Nebraska, Empowered Family Church. July 31st, Fort Atkinson, Iowa, In One Accord Ministry. And then August 1st, Decorah, Iowa, Christian Life Center. Alrighty, well, have an awesome, amazing weekend. Yay! It's April 16th. Going to be a great weekend. I'm excited and happy that I'm not having to do ministry this weekend. Get to have a couple weekends off, which is good. When you do a lot of ministry week after week, during the week and then on weekends, it's good to have a couple days off and enjoy with your family and friends. So, alrighty, I will let you guys go, and we'll see you on Facebook and YouTube. All right, love ya. Bye.